Hello, I'm Ward Bell of IdeaBlade with another in a series of videos about the TempHire cocktail reference application. My good friend and colleague Marcel Good is the chief architect and principal maintainer of Cocktail, an open source framework for end-to-end development of XAML-based business applications. Marcel gave me a guided tour of the TempHire application, and this series is the result. This is the TempHire Solution Structure episode, in which we take a lap around the projects in Solution Explorer. You should come away with a good idea of what each project does and what it contains, and then you'll be ready for the subsequent videos in which we examine each project in detail. Let's start the tour.
So now we're taking a high-level look at the solution structure. In this particular case, we're continuing to look at the WPF version of TempHire. So we're just on a high level. We're going to go through the various projects that we see here in the solution and roughly explain what's going into each of these projects.
Yeah, I always want to know where to go and where to find something in a project.
That's right. So first, we want to start with the domain model project. This is the project that holds the DevForce domain model. It has the model classes, the actual entities. It has the DevForce metadata that goes along with this. And it is a DevForce quote first style domain model.
It wouldn't have to be, it just happens to be.
It just happens to be, yeah, it doesn't have to be. So just to quickly show that these are code first classes, you don't see an EDMX in this project.
Right.
And
we're going to go into this in greater depth in a later video.
We'll talk about this and some more. Then the next kind of related project is the security project, which is a second domain model project, if you will. Security is really a separate concern from your business domain entities, right?
Sure.
So for that fact, it's broken out into a separate project. It has entities that make up users, eventually roles. It's not in here yet, but you model your security objects, how you want to store it. In this case, it's stored. The users are stored in a separate database. It's
separate database, separate model, separate.
Physical, separate database, separate model. It also has some security server extensions in here, like the login manager for DevForce. So DevForce actually knows how to authenticate a user. And it has metadata as well around this, the security classes, the security entities that we'll find in this project.
Sure.
Then above that, we have the domain services project. That's really the abstraction layer to the domain models beneath it. So this is where we have our unit of work. It's where we have the repositories to get data. That's where we have entity factories to create new entities. Where we have domain services for more complex logic. In case of TempHire, a search service that knows exactly how to do a search. Here might be other things like business processes, workflows, where you have them coded out and you can call them from the view model.
Got it.
It also has the sample data that we can see here in the sample data folder. You can, for productivity purposes, you can run this application and develop against the DevForce fake backing store. So you don't actually have a physical database behind it, but you need to populate that store with some data so you see something in your UI.
That would be especially important in an end tier or where you didn't have the database already and you just wanted to use fake data and not worry about destroying existing data.
It's also nice every time you start the application, you're back to your known data.
Right.
So we'll also talk about this some more. There's a lot of like core stuff about TempHire, about the structures in the domain services. So we'll see some more on that. Then above that we have the main application, which has really your views and view models. This makes up the UI. we'll see the structure between the view models and the views is pretty much the same. It follows the same structure. One has the view model and the other one has the corresponding view.
So this is an MVVM model.
This is an MVVM model, yeah. And we have some application infrastructure classes around here that are specific to this application. Things like the entity manager provider factory that creates new entity manager providers, which in turn create entity managers, and just all the things that are very specific to the application.
Right, like the bootstrapper to kick it all off and to get everything going in the right order.
Exactly.
Very application specific.
Yeah, exactly. This is opposed to the common project that we kind of skipped initially, where we have some common UI infrastructure code that you could actually take as is and use in your own application. Right? There's nothing cocktail specific here. Well, it does reference Cocktail, obviously.
Right, but it's not part of Cocktail.
It's not part of Cocktail. This is common functionality that's not even specific to TempHire.
Right, so I could, if I'm writing my own application, I might want to go in here and steal this or at least start from this.
Exactly, yeah. This has a cool toolbar implementation, for example, which you could use in your own application. It has some behaviors that you can attach to your XAML controls, things like that are very reusable. It actually has a base bootstrapper there where there's some common functionality that again is not in Cocktail, but is a really good start for your own application. Then the last project we have is the harness, which is a screen harness that we've previously done a video about this, that allows you to actually launch the individual view models and views out of context of the application. You can go directly to a particular view model that you happen to be working on and launch that and see it work outside of the actual application.
So I don't have to fire up the application and log in and navigate through it all, going screen to find the one I just changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It basically fakes an application environment that lets you with one click go directly where you need to be.
Got it. And it's a mini app unto itself, right?
It's a mini app unto itself. It's an application that you can start with debug new instance.
I just do something like what?
Yeah, so we can right click on here, debug, start new instance.
Yeah.
And so because this is WPF, this is its own executable that runs separate from TempHire.
Nice.
And it shares some of the common functionality. That's already where the common project comes in place, because as you said, it's really a mini application that can stand on its own. But it has slightly different bootstrapping, slightly different entity manager creation and all that, because you are just faking an environment for development purpose. And that's it for all the projects in the WPF solution.
In the next episode, we take a quick look at the structure of the Silverlight version of TempHire, which is mostly the same but with a few important differences, before diving deeply into the TempHire code. You'll find that video and much more at cocktail.ideablade.com.